Even the M23 fighters retreated. We don't know where they've gone.
It's because of the shelling that we've taken refuge with MONUSCO troops.
They gathered outside the UN peacekeepers camp in Munigi, hoping that UN troops would protect them. The attack came just 2 days before the arrival in Kinshasa on Wednesday of Ban Ki-moon. The UN Secretary General is in the DRC to discuss details of the UN Intervention Brigade to be deployed in North Kivu. In March, the UN Security Council adopted a resolution allowing UN troops to use offensive tactics to neutralize armed groups in the region.
Survivors of the deadly tornado in Oklahoma are struggling to pick up the pieces of their lives. The massive destruction that befell the city has left little valuable of the many homes that were directly in the path of the violent storm. Meantime, search crews are combing through the wreckage looking out for survivors. At least 24 people were reported dead, with 100 more rescued from the debris. And as we hear in this report, President Barack Obama has declared a state of emergency.
Search and rescue teams have been working around the clock in Oklahoma looking for survivors following a devastating tornado that swept through on Monday. So far, around 100 people have been found alive, but at least 24 people were killed in the disaster. The Oklahoma City suburb of Moore was hit the hardest, and not much is left of the houses that once stood there. Residents have been sifting through the debris looking for anything that remains of what was once their homes. And this man has just found his cat. Despite the devastation, residents are keeping their chins up and are concentrating on moving forward.
We're from Oklahoma. We'll come through. It's normal for weather to be like this. You know, we're all going to stick together and everything will work out. Everything is going to work out.
George Stanley was able to catch the tornado's arrival on film. He has lived here for 60 years and says he has never seen anything like the destructive tornado before. He survived by staying in an underground shelter in his yard.
I do believe in Jesus Christ, but I believe in, being wise, and so we went to the shelter.
U.S. President Barack Obama has declared a state of emergency and has ordered the release of federal aid.
Good morning, everybody. As a nation, our full focus right now is on the urgent work of rescue and the hard work of recovery and rebuilding that lies ahead.
Dozens of emergency shelters have been set up in the area, and charitable organizations have been calling for donations of food and money, many of them using social networking sites.
Iran's Guardian Council has given 8 candidates the green light to contest the forthcoming presidential election. But the big news is the disqualification of 2 leading candidates from the race. Reformist candidate and former President Ali Akbar Rafsanjani and another candidate with close ties to current President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad were barred. And Mexican government troops have entered a new town in western Mexico where powerful drug cartels besieged the town for weeks. We have details of those stories and others in this roundup report.
Iran's Guardian Council has disqualified 2 prominent politicians from the 10 candidates running in the June 14th presidential election. Both the former President Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani, a supporter of the 2009 protests, and Esfandiar Ramin Mashai, an ally of current President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, were disqualified for views too extreme for the Conservative Council. Mr. Rafsanjani's disqualification is a blow to liberal parties. The remaining candidates all belong to the Conservative camp. Mexican troops were cheered as they entered this town in western Mexico. The government has deployed 5,000 soldiers and police throughout the state of Michoacan to retake towns besieged by drug cartels. The region is notorious for its production of methamphetamine. The deployment is part of President Enrique Nieto's new strategy to break the cartels. A militant far-right historian committed suicide on Tuesday in front of the altar of Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Dominique Venner shot himself in the mouth among some 1,500 tourists. Mr. Venner was an opponent of same-sex marriage and the growing presence of Islam in France. A statement by far-right leader Marine Le Pen that Mr. Venner's death was a political statement meant to awaken the people of France brought widespread condemnation from the government. A Russian court heard the appeal on Wednesday of Maria Alyokina, a member of the punk band Pussy Riot, who along with another member of the group was sentenced to 2 years in prison for singing a profanity-laced song in a Russian Orthodox church. The 23-year-old Ms. Alyokina is appealing the conviction so that she can return home to take care of her 5-year-old son. After authorities refused to allow her to testify in person, preferring to use a video link to her prison cell, Ms. Alyokina went on a hunger strike.
Well, we'll now shift our attention to sports. The Mauritanian basketball team arrived in the country this evening ahead of the sub-regional basketball tournament organized by the Ministry of Youth and Sports as part of events marking President Jammeh's birthday celebrations. The coach of the Chemay Basketball Club said the team is adequately prepared and are ready to take on their opponents and are optimistic of winning the trophy. The opening game will pit a Gambian side against Senegal at the Independence Stadium basketball lawn in Bakau tomorrow 7 p.m. Well, over now to another basketball story. Oklahoma's top basketball star has given back to his community with a donation of $1 million to relieve activities in the aftermath of the tornado. Kevin Durant's smart move has led to more players and coaches pledging to help victims of the natural disaster. We have details in this report.
Playoffs, and the San Antonio Spurs have taken a 2-0 lead in their series against the Memphis Grizzlies, but it was hard work. They threw away an 18-point lead, scoring just 9 in the final quarter as the Grizzlies hit back to take this one into overtime. Mike Conley and Zach Randolph each scored 18. Memphis throwing everything at San Antonio in a bid to level the series. However, Tim Duncan's 17 points included 6 in overtime. The Spurs regaining their grip on this game to win by 93-89. The Spurs just 2 wins away from those NBA Finals. Oklahoma City Thunder star Kevin Durant responded with a remarkable display of generosity, pledging $1 million to the Red Cross relief effort. The team, the NBA, and the Players Association have all matched that amount.
God told me to, do something to help these families out, and that's the first thing I thought of. It's the first thing he popped in my mind. So, I'm just trying to do anything I can to help. It's such a tough situation. Some of those things you can't get back. But I just try to help the families out as much as I can.
Let's turn to another athlete who knows about...
Well, from sports, a reminder of our top stories before we go. Officials in charge of Hajj operations have scaled up efforts at ensuring a Hajj-free pilgrimage to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This as the annual convergence of Muslims continues to edge ever closer. Mikama Area Council has empowered Ecobank Gambia Limited to collect tax revenue on its behalf. Fighting for control of DR Congo's restive eastern region between Congolese government troops and UN forces and M23 rebels has uprooted thousands of civilians. And Iran's powerful Guardian Council has denied former President Ali Akbar Rafsanjani and a conservative politician with close ties to President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad the chance to participate in the fast-approaching presidential race. Well, that's your bulletin for tonight. Thanks for the pleasure of your company and have a wonderful night.